But how cool is that? That golf, like, you broke 80 when you were 10 years old. You broke 70 when you were Justin Thomas is walking right by. I got to go. This is bad.
Hi,
JT. Fore Players by Barstool Sports. We got a guy on the show for the very first time today. Jim Furyk just announced as the captain of the 2024 President's Cup team that's going to be up in Canada, United States President's Cup team. First time having Jim Furyk on. Great guy. We got into a lot of stuff. I enjoyed, obviously, the President's Cup stuff. Dan grilled him a little bit on the Ryder Cup stuff when he was the captain of the losing team, 2018 Paris. That was when Tiger went like 0-4 right after he had won the Tour Championship. It's kind of a weird Ryder Cup, if you recall. You guys, I was over there. You guys, it was like started at like 1 a.m, and then next thing everybody woke up and the whole thing was over already. So it's kind of a weird Ryder Cup. We got into his golf swing a lot. We're now, I believe, gigantic champions of Jim Furyk to the Hall of Fame. Has kind of been a big theme for us this week, has been the Hall of Fame, the Golf Hall of Fame, which we've probably never talked about before in our careers. So, yeah, anyways, we got a lot going on, and Jim Furyk's going to be on the second half of the show. So I enjoyed my time with Jim Furyk.
Yeah, he's certainly a big name. You hear Jim Furyk's on Foreplay, you're like, whoa, that kind of perks my interest. I kind of like
legend,
that.
Mr. 58.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 58. And I talked about that with him. I said, like, I shot an 80 the other day in hard conditions, and I felt like I was the best golfer on the planet. And I cannot believe
so
he
true.
shot a 58. Like, I was draining putts from everywhere, man. I hit a 55-foot birdie putt off a worm. It went off a worm, took a hard left, went right into the cup. And, like, I felt like I couldn't miss. 3 birdies in one round, a couple of doubles. But at the end of the day, I'm like, how could you play any better than that? How could this game? How could anyone play better than I played today?
22 shots better than that. 22
How could anyone?
shots.
And he had 24 putts. I had like 35.
He was like almost 1.1 strokes a hole better than you were.
Right.
That's the type of thing where the general public, ourselves included, don't actually know how good these guys are.
No.
Like, we think we know, and we think we're playing sort of the same sport. We can go play Sawgrass. We can go play Pebble Beach. And we're like, oh, we're doing the thing that the pros do. No, you're not.
It's overused nowadays, but it applies perfectly here. Those guys play at times video game golf. He just pulls the joystick straight back, straight through. It goes X amount of yards straight down the middle of the fairway. And then whatever his yardage is to the flag, he just knows how to hit it that yardage and hit it on that line. So he just hits it there. And then he's within 10 or 20 feet, and his putting stroke and his reads are perfect. And like, the ball's probably going to go in. And then he just does that 18 times. And you're like, okay, yeah, no, that, okay. 58 strokes. I believe that round too, he was 11 under through his first 12 holes. He was 8 under on the front 9, 11 under through 12. And then he gets into a lot of the detail, but I don't want to spoil it. But it was like a hold on situation, and he talks about realizing it. So he shot a 59 and a 58 on the PGA Tour. He is he's got a phenomenal resume. Again, we go through a lot of it with Jim Furyk himself, and he was quite he was into it. He was a trooper. He was enjoying it. We kind of loosened him up. I could tell he was there, Trent Eddy, in like his President's Cup outfit in front of the President's Cup with like a President's Cup montage going on behind him on the screen. And then pretty early on, we dropped like an F-bomb, or we said pussy or something. And it kind of loosened him up a little bit. And he was like, oh, well, I'm on a podcast. You guys can say some shit here. Okay, interesting. So
I don't know how he took the joke so Justin Thomas like kind of peeks in at one point, like into Danny's computer. And then I was like, oh, Jim, you're now the second biggest guest on the show. Like, I was like, we're going to say it was Foreplay, guest, Justin Thomas, and then also Jim Furyk. And then he was just like, yeah.
He didn't love that.
Like, Justin Thomas, a great kid, you know. He's a good player. I was just like,
Always
I actually had to say.
to bury your own guest.
I actually had to say at one
It was
point.
tough.
I actually had to say, no, it's just a joke. It's just a joke.
Yeah.
Always
Right.
good for anybody out there who wants to start a podcast. If you're like, what do I got to do to make this thing a success? You bury your guest.
We don't
you just
fucking
bury him.
sugarcoat this thing, dude.
It's
we
very
just
funny.
too we had
It's
like
funny.
we had just been gassing him up about how he should be a Hall of Fame guy, and that he's like, yeah, if you guys want to lobby for some votes, I was just up and like didn't get in. And then Frankie's like, yeah, we're not even going to list you as the number one guest on this show, really,
Yeah.
because Justin Thomas.
Well, I think if you stack up their careers, I think it's Jim Furyk 17 wins, 1 major, and I think it's Justin Thomas 15 wins, 2 majors. So I think JT has the leg up when you talk about career.
Which is, we've talked a lot this week, like Rick said, about the Hall of Fame. That's right on the line if we're talking about Hall of Fame careers. Right on the line.
Right.
So
But like, all right, so now bringing it back, not to dog Jim Furyk, but like, if you saw player A, player B, what would you say was the better career? 15 PGA Tour wins, 2 majors, or 17 PGA Tour wins, 1 major?
Look, no one's debating that Justin Thomas is going to go down as a bigger name in golf than Jim Furyk.
I'm not trying to defend what I said. I'm literally I'm asking you what you guys think. Like, do you give that major almost like, is that worth like 4 or 5 PGA Tour wins?
It's important. I think it's important. Oh, yeah. 2 majors is important. Yeah. 2 majors is important. It's important to do it again.
Because they always do that player A, player B stuff with hockey and baseball. So it's like, it'd be interesting to see like how you can compare someone that has less PGA Tour wins, more majors.
I saw Golf Historian Twitter was getting after it a little bit. I saw one of Dan's former colleagues, I believe, somebody from Golf Digest, tweeted that Colin Montgomery is in the Hall of Fame. He's got 0 majors, and I was looking at that, and he's considered maybe the greatest Ryder Cup player of all time, if not second. Maybe he's like 2 points behind Sergio. And one of the greatest European Tour players of all time, in a time when the European Tour was massive. I mean, for a lot of guys that they didn't come over here and play full time in the United States like they do now, then the money difference wasn't as great, and whatever. A lot of those guys, they played on the European Tour. I think Colin Montgomery has like 31 European Tour wins.
Am I reading that he never won a PGA Tour event?
He never won a major. Did Colin Montgomery never win a PGA Tour?
Though he amassed 42 victories in a career, Colin Montgomery never won on the U.S. Professional Golfers Association of America PGA Tour and never won one of their 4 major championships.
I knew the majors, but I didn't know he never won a PGA Tour event.
I didn't know that either.
That's incredible.
It's insane.
What a career.
Incredible.
I'd also say for a guy like Furyk, and I don't know if they count this in the Hall of Fame, and they probably don't, his swing is a Hall of Fame swing.
Yeah.
Like when you're talking about like swings and like, if you were, just to put a screen and have a guy swing, not show who it was, Furyk, you're going to go 100 out of 100 with people who are golf fans. So I think that's something.
I'm looking right now, Colin Montgomery too. Look at this. European Tour playoff record, 0-7-1.
Wow.
That's
We're talking about the greatest Ryder Cup player of all time with that record.
That's such a wide. He's got such an interesting resume, dude. I don't think you were on yet, Frankie, but me and Trent had Colin Montgomery on the show for like an hour. He came in and he was, I think he was like,
I was there.
Was it like,
yeah,
you were there
in the radio room. Yeah, I was there.
Yeah. It was like Loch Lomond whiskey. It was around the Open Championship, and he was fucking great. He was, because we grew up in my household, Midwestern family. We made fun of him, Mrs. Doubtfire, everybody called him the whole thing.
Hello.
And it was fucking awesome. He was drinking that scotch with us. He was such a nice dude. So I love Colin Montgomery. But yeah, he's
second in majors 5 times.
That's insane. That's just insane. Dude, I looked at while we were talking to Jim Furyk and we were going through the Hall of Fame thing because because the Hall of Fame in golf's weird. You're eligible when you're like 45 or something like that, maybe. Because I remember with Phil and with Tiger, they got in while they were like still pretty near their prime. They like Tiger, I know, like got into the Hall of Fame. So I think it's maybe when you're eligible when you're 45 or something. So I wasn't sure if Jim Furyk was actually in already or not. And dude, I was going through because on the players Wikipedia, they have the whole major championship results and they highlight the top 10s in yellow. The amount of top 5s Jim Furyk has in major championships, dude, is fucking crazy. In 96, tied for 5th at the US Open. 1997, top 6 in 3 of the 4 majors. 1998, top 4 twice. 1999, top 10, top 8. 2001, top 6, top 7. 2002, 9th. 2003, 1st and a 4th. 2006, 4th, T2. 2007, T2. 2008, T5. And then you get into the 2000 teens when he's much older. He still has a top 4, a tied for 4th, a 2nd, a 4th, a tied for 5th, and a tied for 2nd in major championships.
Yeah, he's one of those compiler of just like really, really good stats.
He's insane. He's also a compiler of money. He's top 10, maybe even top 5 money winners of all time.
Dude, he's third. Third? Yeah, now they remove, which is, again, we bring this up with Jim Furyk. They remove Phil Mickelson and Dustin Johnson from the list. I think those two would be higher than he is if you go on the PGA Tour's official money list thing. Those guys are gone. So I think he's 5th all time PGA Tour money list.
That's crazy that they removed those guys. They made that money on the PGA Tour. I know that they're technically banned right now, but they're a part of history.
Right, when you die, it's not like they take you off the list.
Right.
It's insane.
One thing you can't do, and you start looking like the asshole, is when you start messing with the history books. When you start ripping names out, then people are like, now wait a minute. This is the thing that I don't like. And that's one of them.
There's a very funny link. When I looked, I was like, wow, Jim Furyk's 3rd. And then I went down the list. I saw no Phil. I saw no Dan made the point. I saw no Dustin Johnson. I was like, huh. And then, but if you look, dude, Tiger Woods, $120.9 million. Rory McIlroy, 2nd, $71.5 million. I believe Phil would be 2nd, or he might even be 1st at this point. Jim Furyk, 3rd, $71.5 million. Vijay Singh, 4th, 71.2. Adam Scott, 5th with $60 million. Obviously, Phil and DJ are higher than that, but Jim Furyk, I think, is 5th all time PGA Tour money list.
That's good living, man.
It's good.
We've got him on the show. He's on the show.
That is really
Sorry,
good
I'll stop
living.
asking Jim Furyk questions. I know he's on the show.
You know that we've been part of the Chevy EV family, but we have big news. The first ever all-electric Silverado is officially Barstool's most valuable truck. We got a chance to see this thing. We got a chance to experience it. It is a game changer, Trent Daddy. It's available 400-mile range. GM estimated on a full charge is an insane number. 400-mile range on an electric vehicle. Not only electric vehicle, but electric Silverado. Over 10 feet of length in the bed with the multi-flex tailgate combined with the multi-flex midgate, large 17-inch diagonal display screen. It can tow up to 10,000 pounds of max towing, 0 to 60 in under 4.5 seconds with wow mode, up to an impressive 785 foot-pounds of torque. You got to go to Chevy.com right now to learn more. I just got an email that my car is officially due on May 15th, and that no later can it be given there. So I will have no car. I'm going to a Chevy dealer, and I'm going to sit down with the great people at Chevrolet, and I'm going to figure out what my next car is going to be. First, I'm going to head over to Chevy.com to learn more. Make sure you check out that first ever all-electric Silverado.
It's a badass vehicle, man. The Silverado has been a badass vehicle, and now it's a badass vehicle in the future with an EV. Charging stations are popping up all over the place. 400 miles you can get on a charge. This is the future. Silverado's the future. Chevy's the future. That's the way to go.
Chevy.com.
Side Gig is out now. So Dan Rappaport's premiere of his first real solo video series. Unbelievably cool concept. He went down, stayed a couple days with Sahith Theegala. He caddies for him. And so we always talk about how we love player caddy interactions when they're mic'd up, when they get that boom mic right in there and you can hear it. They're talking through shots, what they consider, what certain players consider that other players don't. We went through with Adam Hayes, John Rahm's caddy, about their process. What is he like? That's different than Tiger Woods' process. And not to segue, because we're going to segue to it, but I remember when Joey LaCava caddied for Patrick Cantlay a few years ago as a one-off thing, and he talked about Tiger gave him shit about you're going to have to give him adjusted because Tiger just likes the raw number. Anyways, it's very cool to hear players' process and what they're thinking about over shots, and Dan just does that for an entire video, plus kind of an interview in between shots, like a long-form interview. Big passion project of his and a really cool concept with a guy who's turning into a megastar on the PGA Tour. I would say Full Swing vaulted him up there. He's got amazing charisma. Sahith Theegala. He's up there in the top 25, I believe, in the world. We talked about in the last show. So make sure you check that out on YouTube, on social, on Barstool Sports if you haven't. Side Gig from Dan Rappaport is officially out.
Yeah, it's going to be great. All the graphics on it look really cool. Just a whole new series, very golf-centric, very deep golf conversations. I just think, we're hitting you from a lot of different angles right now, and this is his angle. Really cool that he's going to be able to do that, and the guests he's going to get are insane. I mean, the first one being Sahith is awesome, and then it's just going to keep going up from there, so it's really cool.
Something the three of us couldn't do. That's really... when we
We don't
brought
have
Dan
that.
aboard, that was a big part of it. And I know there's kind of this weird transition period, but this is the type of stuff. This is the type of stuff he loves. This is the type of stuff that we want him to put on our YouTube page. And I know he's super excited about it. I'm super excited about it. We're super excited about it. So yeah, check it out on our YouTube. It's going to be great.
I'm a little torn on the Joey LaCava situation. We're very tight on this show with Joe LaCava. First of all, no-brainer decision from him, and clearly Tiger signed off on it, so it doesn't seem like there's anything bad there. Tiger's down again for at least the remainder of the season. It sounds like we did have our doctor on who detailed cankles, among many other things, but also detailed kind of the outlook for Tiger and essentially said, yeah, as long as this goes well, he should be much better off than he was beforehand, walk much better, move much better, the limp should be less, the whole deal. Joey LaCava is, he caddied for Freddie Couples, caddied for Tiger Woods. He won the 2019 Masters with Tiger Woods. He got Tiger to number 1 in the world again in 2013. He won like 5 times that year. So they've had an amazing run. However, it's just tough. It's tough when the boys break up. Nobody wants to see, nobody wants to see their parents break up. Nobody wants to see their favorite player caddy duo break up. And again, it's kind of a harsh way to put it. On a logical, rational standpoint, Patrick Cantlay is the number 4 ranked player in the world right now. Patrick Cantlay can make tens of millions of dollars a year. You don't have to be a mathematician to realize a caddy roughly gets about 10%, depending on their setup. If Tiger Woods is never playing, I'm sure Tiger pays Joey LaCava a nice annual salary, but I doubt he's paying him $1 million or $2 million a year just to sit around so he can make a ton more money. He could be in the mix. I'm sure he has that flow, that or that desire. He's a sports fan. Every time you watch him, he's talking Rangers who are out. He's talking Giants. He's talking. He loves sports. So a guy that loves sports wants to be in the mix. He wants to be working, playing, grinding. Now he's with a guy who's number 4 in the world. I'm a little torn because Patrick Cantlay, not our favorite guy, slow, pretty boring in general, kind of unlikable in a lot of ways. And now Patrick Cantlay and Joe LaCava, who's maybe the most likable person in the world, are together, and he's not with Tiger Woods. So it's a little bit tricky, but overall, I think from a rational standpoint, we all get it.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, you do kind of have to read between the lines a little bit of what does this mean for Tiger going forward. But from a Joey LaCava standpoint, I'm happy for the guy. I want him to work. I want him to be on the bag of a very successful golfer, which Patrick Cantlay is going to be and already is. So, yeah, it's a no-brainer. We get to see Joey LaCava more in terms of like a broadcast and him out there with the guys. I'm happy for him. But, yeah, the whole Tiger thing, it just leaves that in a little bit of a limbo. But overall, we're Joey LaCava guys, and I'm glad that he's on a bag like Patrick Cantlay.
Yeah, we die for Joey LaCava. I mean,
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, the guy's going to be, he's getting older. I'm sure he doesn't want to be doing this for the rest of his life. And at the end of his career, he's going to want to make as much money as possible doing this. And for a big chunk of it, Tiger hasn't played golf. I mean, the last 10 years, Tiger Woods has not played that much golf compared to other guys that Joey is, coworkers with, and all his other caddies have all these guys that are just absolute freaking workhorses when it comes to PGA Tour. They're stopping at every single stop. They're collecting checks. Patrick Cantlay is a human ATM machine. I mean, for the past 3 or 4 years, the guy has legitimately just deposited money to hit whatever caddy was on his bag. He's always going to be in the mix. He's going to be able to be, you got team events. He's no hat Pat. Everything about Cantlay, yes, he's boring, but he's in the mix, man. He's a top 4 player in the world, a top American in the world. So he's always just going to be there. Joey's going to be there playing Ryder Cups, doing all this shit. It's going to be a lot of fun for Joey. And yeah, I mean, I texted him, and the first text was about the Rangers. Obviously, I said your team showed no heart. I said no bias. I thought that was a pathetic performance by the Rangers in Game 7. We don't have to talk about it now because Lurch isn't here. He hasn't been on the show in 5 months, even though like he's a part of Foreplay, signed a contract, the whole thing. But he's just not on the show. At the end of the day, I would love to talk to Lurch about hockey, but we'll talk about what I talked about with Joey LaCava. The Rangers are a pathetic organization that just can't get it done. I mean, 83 years, 82 times they've been eliminated from the playoffs out of 83 years. You give any team an 83-year fucking window to just win a ton of championships when you're in Madison Square Garden. You're the heart of New York City. You have guys like Patrick Kane literally saying, I want to only go to the Rangers and you have to trade me for a bag of pucks. Like you don't get anything in return. And I am forcing your hand to trade me to the New York Rangers. They get all the benefits, all the accolades. They get the fucking bright lights of Broadway. And then they just lose every single year. It's amazing. They are the Cowboys of hockey. They had one run in the 90s, and sometimes they make some runs in the playoffs, but they have that America feel to it, the red, white, and blue. Like just how the Cowboys have the star in their helmet, the Rangers have the Liberty on their chest. There's just something about them that they have this fucking boisterous, like, we're the Rangers. Why? You know who's like more successful than you? Almost every team in the league when they like just win the Stanley Cup. It's crazy. So shout out to Joey LaCava going with Patrick Cantlay. He's going to win a ton of money. He says he's very excited to work with Pat full time. I know that he has bounced around with him from time to time. He's been on his bag before, part time. This is very exciting. He says he's a great kid. Hopefully, we'll get some more interactions with Pat now. Maybe this will be our little lead in to Patrick Cantlay.
That'd be great. I mean, it's a strong word to say we've rehabilitated some guys' images, but we have done that in certain cases where the public thinks of them one way. They come on our show, they do an interview, or they do a scramble or some sort of video with us, and you find out that there's more to them than what you see in the 8 minutes on a broadcast. So I think Patrick Cantlay has that opportunity. We would love to have him on in some capacity.
That'd be great if he made fun of himself, came on a video, like took his time over a drive.
He's got it in him. He did when he made the hole in one after the video went viral of him playing really slow. He was like, "Oh, look, I'm playing faster." So I think it's in there. If that was him running that Twitter,
it could have been someone on his team, but
for sure,
that person also can just get in their head and be like,
"This is his team." I'm convinced it's his team. He appeared on social media like earlier this year, and then that was right when he signed some deals, I believe, some little advertisement deals. So I think it's his team that's kind of doing that stuff. I was a little turned off by, and look, Patrick Cantley's had a few different times where he's been asked questions in press conferences and he's given very insightful, interesting answers, but I don't know that he's particularly self-deprecating. He had the chance the next week when at the RBC Heritage, when he was asked, did you hear about the comments that were made by Brooks Koepka, by a lot of people on social media about your slow play? And he instantly was like, we waited on a bunch of tees, and he went, look, no person that's ever been accused of slow play in the history of golf has believed that they were a slow player. Every single person believes that they're not the issue, and he was that way. So when he didn't right away be like, yeah, I need to speed it up, which credit to Max Homa, and I've talked about this like privately, he's like, you can look at the data, I don't believe I'm a slow player. But when he had that video that came out during the match play where he took 50 seconds or whatever over an aim point putt, he immediately quote tweeted that video afterwards and was like, I need to be better, I'm going to reevaluate my process. He didn't be like, well, we waited on this hole. So I didn't like that response from Patrick Cantlay. I just think he's in it right now with the slow play people. When you get it, I don't know what it's equal to in other sports, but when you become kind of the guy of the slow play, hate online, you can't shake. It happened to Bryson 2 or 3 years ago, and it's hard to shake, man. And he's kind of in it right now, so I feel bad a little bit on that front. But I don't think he's handled it great. I'm sure if he came on, he would be a much better guest on a podcast for him than he is when he's just asked these questions, here and there at press conferences. So I imagine he'll come on at some point. He's with Joey. We love Joey. That's a huge plus in our book. And hopefully we get him on at some point. We can talk about it. But right now he's in the crosshairs when it comes to slow play. Maybe Joey will help him out a little bit.
Before we move on from this caddy news, I want to read off a tweet from Dan Rappaport. Did you see this ricochet shot that he took at Ricky Fowler yesterday? Dan Rappaport, no. Barstool Sports Foreplay Golf Podcast. All right. So this is the tweet. He said, a bunch of new stars in golf and the top caddies are not getting left behind. And then he lists a bunch of caddies moving on from older stars to younger stars. And this is the list. Joe LaCava, Tiger to Patrick Cantlay, Ted Scott, Bubba to Scotty Scheffler, Paul Tesori, Webb to Cam Young, Adam Hayes, Russell Henley to John Rahm, Bones Mackay, Phil Mickelson to Justin Thomas, Joe Scavron, Ricky Fowler to Tom Kim. That's a ricochet shot. We're talking about old dogs who these old golfers, these caddies got to move on from these guys. They can't win anymore. There's like, this is a sinking ship. No offense to any of those guys that I listed, but I got to jump onto this new cigarette boat and we're going to take off and we're going to make millions of dollars together. And on that list, a list that includes Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson, Webb Simpson, all these guys who are getting older, admittedly, Ricky Fowler is on that list.
Tiger literally under the knife. He just can't walk for years. Phil Mickelson has been deleted from the PGA Tour website. And they put Ricky Fowler, who's 30, and just got married. He's like 33, whatever. Ricky
Right.
Fowler.
Plus, also saying like that Tom Kim's in like a cash cow compared to like what Ricky Fowler will ever be for the next 10 years of his career. Like Ricky Fowler basically has no chance compared to Tom Kim.
Right. Tiger's what, 47? How old's Bubba? Probably low 40s now.
Ricky's 34.
Phil is over 50, 52 probably. And yeah, Ricky is a good 20 years younger than some of the guys on that list.
How about Rick Dick is vaulted into he's 53rd in the official world golf ranking. So he's coming back, baby. Our guy's coming back. I kind of liked him this
Justin
weekend.
Thomas in the world rankings.
I think he's outside the top 10, isn't he?
I was going to say 8.
Yeah, dude, he's down there. He's 15th.
Wow.
He got dude, there was I think at the Masters during his presser, somebody asked him an awkward question where they were like, you're seeing these guys that are sort of your contemporaries out there. They're winning majors. They're like vaulted to number 1 and 2 in the world. They've won a bunch of times. You're not even inside the top 10. Like, does that kind of motivate you? And his answer was like, he was like, wow, like, okay, I didn't know we were.
Was that Dan? Because every time Dan asked him a question at the Masters, he's like, is there a question in there? Or he hates Dan's questions.
Justin Thomas won a major less than 365 days.
Right.
Totally.
My question was going to be like, because he's a huge sports fan, and like at some point, and what's the point in the PGA Tour season that you start to be like, we got to turn this around now? Like he's 15th, and it's May. Like it's almost like when you're outside the playoff line by Thanksgiving or something in hockey, they're like, oh, you got to get in. Is there a time where Justin Thomas is like, this is like a bad season so far? Like when do we start to like rack up some points and get into the top 10, top 5, make sure that we're in there for the tour championship? When do they start doing that? I know there's a ton of tournaments left, but like we're chugging along on this season. We already went to New Orleans. Like things are happening. You know what I mean? Like we're in the middle. We're about to get into the summer now, the heat of it. So I always wonder like how those guys feel about that, or do they not even think because there's so many fucking events?
I'm just looking here at his results from the year so far. Starting at, let's call it the Century Tournament of Champions, which is in January. T25 and then T25 4, T20, T21, T60, T10, miscut, T25 at the RBC Heritage. Probably not the year that Justin Thomas would want, but not a complete disaster.
No, it's not a disaster. I'm saying like because he could always just turn it on whenever he wants. I always wonder if that like eats at them. You know what I mean? Where they're like, all right, a quarter of the season's gone, and I have almost 90% of that has been T20s and higher. It's like, when do we start to really start?
Well, it's so interesting that golf is like each week is in a silo, right? It's not like in hockey. If you're 20 points outside of the playoff spot, you can't just make it up in one weekend. Whereas, dude, in golf, JT just wins the PGA next, in a couple weeks. Like, it's a great year. So it's such a weird thing. Like if that happened to Phil. Phil didn't have like a top 10, I don't think, in like 2.5 years in the PGA Tour, and then he just won the PGA at Kiawah, and he's like an icon. So it's so fucking weird in that regard. It's probably really hard though to let go of all that other stuff and like just be, it's almost like what Brooks Koepka was talking about in Full Swing, where he's like, I bet Scotty Scheffler's not thinking about anything right now. And then they cut to Scotty Scheffler, and he's like dancing among fucking tulips and daisies with Meredith in like Austin, and they're like, okay, he's not thinking about anything. And Brooks over here, like, he's got fucking weird sunglasses on, like judging his wife's outfits and shit. He's like, this is a nightmare. Where and I bet so for JT, he probably is going, I guess, I don't know, probably going into the event in a much different mindset than like Rahm would be, even though him and Scheffler aren't playing, where Rahm's like, yeah, everything's full systems go, let's fucking crush it, even though technically they're both kind of like, yeah, if we just win this week, life's amazing, everything's great. So golf's weird that way, man. It's very different.
Yeah. When you're not thinking about it, it kind of pertains to everything. When you're not thinking about it, that's usually when it's going the best. Like, I think Justin Thomas just turned 30, and someone asked him about turning 30. And I think I saw this somewhere where they were like, well, how do you feel about like where you are right now in terms of your career? And he was like, I don't feel like I've accomplished nearly as much as I had wanted to, which coming from him is kind of insane. Like, he's got one of the great young careers going.
That number of wins, what'd you say he has 15 wins?
15.
That's a lot. Like I saw that because he just turned 30, dude. That's like whatever, 8 9 years he's been out there, and like.
But when you're a guy like him and you've won 15 times, you've won 2 majors, you're like, man, I could have won 20 times and I could have won 4 majors. He's looking back at every single time that he could have won. Those 15, he had shoot in. He knew that he was going to win tournaments his whole entire life. He was determined to do that. And now you go back to the ones that he like maybe let slip or that were just out of his reach, and he's like, fuck, man, I had a great opportunity. I'm one of the best players of this generation. I could have done this. And then that's hard to put on yourself, though, to be like coulda, shoulda, woulda. You know what I mean? Because if you didn't win this, you could have won that. If you know what I mean? You could take one away, give it to another one.
It's the gift and the curse of having extreme talent like he has. Because if you turn 30 and you've won, maybe you haven't won at all on the PGA Tour, and you've just had a few top 20s and you're just kind of gliding along, you're like, well, this is what I am. And I, know, maybe I'll grab one here at some point, but 1 or 2 wins, and that's kind of going to be my career. Like you said, with 15 wins, you think, I'm good at this. Clearly,
good.
I'm really good at this. I'm in the top 1% of people who have ever played this game. And I wish I could have won more.
It's got to be. Remember that 2017 season he shot 59. He won 5 times. He shot 63 at Erin Hills with those pink pants on, including that 3-wood eagle. That was a 9 under 63 when Johnny Miller called it the Milwaukee Open. And then he won the PGA Championship that year for his first major as well. So he had fucking 5 wins. I believe it was 5. He won a major. He shot a 63 in a U.S. Open, and he shot 59. And I believe he won like back-to-back to begin that year. But I think he won both Hawaii events. So it's like, dude, that was 6 years ago. He must have been feeling he must have been feeling at that point like, well, I'm going to win a major every year. I'm going to win 5 events every year. I'm going to win 20 majors and 100 events. Like, I'm sick. This is easy.
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
and now he's got 2 majors.
My math is right. He was 24 then. Imagine being that good at 24
right.
And you're like, this is it, man. I'm going to be one of the greatest ever. And he's, again, we're talking about it like he didn't ever win again. He's got 15 wins, 2 majors, one in Tulsa last year. Like, everything is totally fine with Justin Thomas. He's got players, like everything's totally fine. You just know that he's feeling like, I could be
totally fine. He's totally fine. I mean,
90 seconds ago, I was like, he's got 15 wins. That's amazing. Now I'm like, that guy's struggling.
I'm just trying to get inside the psyche of a guy like him, which is impossible. But
that's just 3
probably
guys
what he's thinking along some lines.
Not a single blood cell of excellence inside of our entire bodies, and we're like, I wonder if this guy feels like he's doing it.
Kids has to be going through the same thing right now. I mean, he's in a different light, but it's like he's not playing the way he wants to play, and he's getting towards the end of his career. It's interesting to think about how these guys approach each week. It's such a grinding sport and career that at some point it's just got to eat away at you. Like, you could be Justin Thomas and you could have the potential to be the best player ever, like we just said. And then you could be like Kevin Kisner in the same spot where it's just like, man, like I'm just trying to hold on at this point and just like compete again. And it's just, I'm very interested in like the mental side of it. Maybe ever since we started talking to Dr. Brett McCabe, of just like how fucking daunting it is to go up against these guys like Scotty Scheffler and fucking John Rahm, where you know they're going 15, 16 under. They're not going to miss a flag stick every single time they tee it up. It's got to be infuriating. And then even times that by 1 billion for when Tiger was in his prime. How did anyone even have the will to just go out there and play golf? When he was winning 10 events out of 15 or whatever the fuck he was doing in the early 2000s, like, how are you even showing up? You're just happy to finish top 10 at that point. You're not even thinking about a win.
Dude, imagine like that U.S. Open at Pebble. I think Ernie Els and like the mechanic, I think they finished T2 at I think it was like 3 over, and Tiger was 12 under. And they must have been like, dude, what a great Open we played. Like, I'm out there crying. I was only 2 over par. The course is impossible. Like, maybe I'm going to play off, and they lost by 15 to Tiger.
Imagine finishing like 8th in that tournament and you're like 22 strokes behind the winner. You're like, what else was I supposed to do today? Every one of my peers just couldn't even come close.
It's your 80 to Jim Furyk's 58. You're like, what did we? I thought I played the best I could out here at Pebble Beach. I really thought I did. Yeah. And the guy who won is 20 strokes better than me. Right. How is that possible?
Dude, that is Frankie, I love that you brought up that fucking anecdote because it's so true. Like, you'll come back in the clubhouse after a round with your buddies. Maybe you shoot like a 76 or something, and everybody's like, dude, Riggs was on fire today. He's making everything. He played lights out. We're like, we're playing from 6,200 yards, and I shot 76. and Jim Furyk shot 58 from probably 7,300 yards.
It's insane.
He beat me by 18 shots. I played fucking unbelievable. It's like, what a game these guys are playing.
Take on the sun with gear built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered for warm weather ahead with premium polarized shades at an affordable price. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company that offers world-class products that are just as good as any expensive pair that we've ever worn. Durable frames, extremely clear optics for all your outdoor adventures, including very sunny days on the golf course.
The weather's starting to get nicer. Summer's right around the corner, where it's May right now, and the weather's finally starting to get nice here out on Long Island. The sun's going to be shining. It's going to be in your eyes. You need Shady Rays. You need sunglasses to survive. Shady Rays is the way to go. We've been partnered with them for a long time now. It's a long trusted brand in sunglasses. Shady Rays. Get them now before the summer really kicks into gear because you're going to need them.
It doesn't stop at the quality. Shady Rays offers the most insane protection program in all of eyewear. Each pair of sunglasses are backed by their lost and broken program. If you lose or break your pair, even on day 1 or year 2, they will send you a brand new pair. That's amazing. Together with their customers, Shady Rays is providing much needed support to nonprofit partners across the U.S. through Shady Rays Impact, from building play sets for pediatric cancer patients to providing young adults with MS the outdoor adventure of a lifetime. Shady Rays is making an impact in your community and others like it now and for years to come. They're an amazing company. We've been partnering with them for years. You got to go support Shady Rays, and you got to protect your eyeballs in the sun. It's about to be sun time out there while you're playing golf. So exclusively for our listeners, our Foreplay listeners right now, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Listen to this. Go to shadyrays.com and use code FORE, F-O-R-E, for 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. That's shadyrays.com. Use code FORE, F-O-R-E, and you're going to get 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. You need them. You're always needing them. You're in your car. You're looking inside all your glove compartments. You're like, I need sunglasses. About to go out into the world. I need sunglasses. Go to Shady Rays. Make sure that you're stocked. 50% off. I played this golf course called Sands Point Golf Club, and we played the Village Club of Sands Point, Trent, when you did Breaking 90. Remember that golf course we played where it had all those funky greens and like that par 3? It almost looked like it was in California. That was like out into the water. And then they had
I have no memory of that?
They had that huge shelf going up. Like, you basically had a fairway, and then the green was like over that huge mound of grass. How do you not remember this Breaking 90?
No, I do remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I made 6 on that hole.
Yeah, you did. Next door is this place called Sands Point Golf Club. That's Village Club of Sands Point. Sands Point Golf Club. I want to bring you guys there at some point. Hopefully we can get back on. We knew the super there, Pat. You feel like you've entered a new world. You don't think you're in America anymore. You feel like you're in like the fields of maybe probably America, but like the fields of like Wisconsin. You feel like you're like next door to like Erin Hills, but it's like a flat Erin Hills. It's just land everywhere, and you could see every single hole from every single tee box. It's almost like a poor man's Shinnecock, where you're just like, where are we right now? Like, how are we in this grass field? And the greens are fucking outrageous. It was a really cool golf course. I had to give them a shout out. Like, one of the cooler ones I've seen on Long Island, like a hidden gem that I've never really heard about until I went there.
It's hard to find a good one on Long Island that hasn't been touted because that place is already the best stretch of golf on planet Earth.
Incredible.
Speaking of stretches of golf and what we're talking, the hills of Wisconsin and whatnot, people were asking a lot. We're kind of floating, and we texted about this. We're kind of floating I guess it's Pacific Northwest, but Eastern Washington State / Northern Idaho travel series. There are some golf courses up there, boys. Gamble Sands we went to last year for the Barstool Classic. We were blown away. So that one we've seen, but we flew into Spokane, went there for a couple of days, went back to Spokane and flew out. Coeur d'Alene's up there. That's the place with this fucking island green. I've been seeing this on social media for like 5 years. This island green that changes the yardage every day. They have it on like like it's at Disney, which I imagine, Frankie, this is going to be your favorite hole of all time. It's like you take a fucking boat to get out to the hole. There's Coeur d'Alene, which has a few places. Gaza Ranch is very private, but that's up there. It's supposed to be amazing. A couple different courses people sent to me for this would be Circling Raven, Palos Ridge, Suncadia, which is a great name.
Just thinking of all the
so we're
cool
kind
merch
of
at these places.
Yeah.
There's got to be unbelievable gear up there, I know. So we're kind of floating that. So if anybody wants to send a little note for play at barstoolsports.com, maybe detailing a potential trip up in this region of the country, feel like it's beautiful, stunning. The imagery and the videography that our guys could do would be fucking phenomenal. And it doesn't feel like it's particularly tapped or overly tapped in the market. I couldn't find really much footage from these places. So we're thinking about going up there this year. And then a couple other things I wanted to get to. Tiger Woods comments. I know we talked about Tiger, Joey LaCava. Sad, but also good for Joey because we love him. Jack Nicklaus had some very interesting comments about Tiger Woods. I love that we seem to get tidbits from what Tiger tells other other Masters winners during Champions Dinner every year. I mean, we had the Nick Faldo thing with like a year before Tiger came back and ended up having a phenomenal comeback where he was worried that he was going to be done. Tiger Woods told Jack Nicklaus, and this is Jack detailing this. He said, we talked quite a bit, actually. Tiger said during this, I'm playing really well. I'm hitting the ball great. My short game's great. My putting's good. I just can't walk. And then he went on to say and talk about potential surgery. If it helps where I can walk, I'm willing to do it. And then Jack put his own words in and said he wouldn't be having the operations if he wasn't interested in wanting to continue to play. He's a very motivated and dedicated young man to continue to play the game of golf.
Well, it's easy to say when you're old as dirt, but yeah. I mean, yeah, he's an old
Jack
young
is.
man.
I think Jack's 83 now.
He's old. He's old as shit. He's old as shit. He's not older than what's his fucking name?
Gary
Morgan
Player?
Morgan Freeman.
Oh.
That one stunned me. He's like 85. That's crazy. I saw it yesterday.
Our dozen match comes out tonight. No spoilers. You got to watch.
Does that come out tonight?
Thursday, I think, right? Yeah.
Thursday? People must watch.
Oh, so we can't talk about it. Okay.
Thursday. Yeah, Thursday night dozen. We love doing that show. I feel like we hear from Jack, and this could be revisionist history and not true at all, but I'm going to say it. I feel like we hear from Jack about Tiger whenever Tiger is not in a position where could potentially win. I feel like we always hear these comments about like, oh,
these are positive from Jack.
I'm with
this
you.
Is positive
I know.
from Jack.
And that might
I'm not
be
even saying-
biased in the sense that like these are the only times they're asking him about Tiger is like when questions about his career come up and like, do you think he can do it again? So it's almost not his fault that he's being asked questions every time Tiger's hurt or he's going into another surgery. It's like that's when Jack's phone rings. You know what I mean? They're not calling him every single time he tees it up. They're calling him like, do you think he has it in him to catch you?
You changed my mind just now.
Yeah.
Just now you changed my mind. That's so true. Why, when Tiger is, healthy as he can be, they're not asking Jack, like, do you think he can do it? It's when he's at his low point when it's like, it would be pretty crazy if he came back and did it. Do you think he can?
When the doubt starts to creep in that he's not going to be able to do it, that's when Jack is most relevant about the record.
Agree.
Yeah.
I agree now.
I don't think he's been strategic.
I want to apologize to Jack. I'm sure this will go right to him. He's a listener of the podcast, which is great. We love that Jack listens, and I apologize. I think
I've sort of changed. I've evolved my general opinions on old people recently.
All of them?
Yeah.
How so?
I don't know. I feel like I just used to lump all old people in just a bucket of like, just old person. And like, you're kind of limited. You're old. It's so now I just have a much more like when I walk by an old person, I think like that person just was young for like most of their life. That person was young. That person was probably at one point raging. That person was probably got off work at a fucking Friday when they were 29 at 2:30 and met the boys at the bar.
That drives me crazy thinking about stuff like that.
Yeah,
it's
so
true.
I'm like that person. Like when they walk by, they're not necessarily just some really sweet like like that person might be like a fucking maniac. That's like just in an old person's body at this point. So
just worn down by the.
I also think about like what they're
Totally.
thinking about. Like they're just like fuck. I think that's a Louis C.K. joke where he's just like everyone's afraid of dying and like getting old, but like I think when you get that old, you realize why you die. You know what I mean? You're like like every step you're like fuck. Like I just don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to be walking anymore. But sometimes I think like, man, that's just a young person's brain in a breaking down body. Like,
Yeah.
Trent has said that like didn't your dad say like he just thinks he's like 35 mentally or something like that? Like it never really changed after 30 years old.
Yeah, I forgot how him and I got on the topic. I remember he was dropping me off at the airport one time and we were talking, and I had been talking to somebody before that about how old we actually feel. And this was a couple years ago, and I had said I felt like I was 22. I still feel 22, though I kind of still have the same thoughts of when I was 22. And I asked him that, and he was like, I feel 33. He's 70. Yeah. He's about to turn 72 in a couple months, and he's like, I feel 33. Yeah. He's just a 33-year-old guy whose body has moved on and kept moving these 35 more years, and his brain is just like, I feel like I'm 35, and he's with it. He's sharp. You can have conversations with him. My grandpa was like that, dude. Even up until he was like 87, and his body was just gone, he was still sharp, and it's just like, it's crazy to think that the body just goes, and sometimes the brain will be like, I'm still as sharp as can be. It's just this meat vessel that I'm in is failing me.
It'll be interesting to see like this like younger generation get older if we make it there. Like essentially, I feel like the older generation, our parents, our grandparents, when they were younger, they did things that we now see as just being old. Like they would watch the program on TV and they would read the newspaper. So
60 minutes.
So like a 70-year-old who still thinks he's 33, he's going to do things that are still considered like old to me, right? Like your dad's not out there playing video games and like checking the web and like TikToking and Snapchatting. Or like when we're 80 years old, are we going to be feeling like we're 33 and be doing that stuff? Like, am I going to be playing like NHL 23 or NHL like 65 on fucking Xbox 1 billion and just being like, yeah, this is like what I like to do instead of like my grandma likes to like knit. Like, am I gonna like sit there and just like scroll whatever social media?
I bet knitting's kind of sweet.
But that's like what they did when they were 30. So like that, they're still doing that now because that's just like how they pass time.
I don't think those specific things change the same. We even talked about on last podcast about how 10 years ago I was going to the bar every single weekend. Every weekend, as every opportunity I had, I was going out drinking with my friends. Just 10 years later, my interests are completely different, but I still feel it's not the activities that you participate in. It's just the way that you feel, I guess. Because like, I get what you're saying. Like, I love, like you're saying, you love playing video games in your 20s. Am I going to be doing that when I'm 70? Because it's how I feel inside and what I would like to do in my 20s. I think those things change. There's just something about your mindset when your body starts to get older. You're like, that can't possibly be because I still feel inside of my brain that I'm 30.
Yeah, I was more talking on the lines of like hobbies. Like when they were younger, they didn't have the type of like technological hobbies that we do now. Whatever hobbies they had was very just like earthly, or maybe it was like planting or fucking gardening. Or
like my dad golfed. He's golfed pretty much his whole life. He still golfs.
Right. Yeah. So like for me, like my hobbies growing up my whole entire life are very technical and technological, and they're all video games and all this shit. Like I feel like I'm going to just keep on doing that. We don't get to compare that to them because they didn't even have that. I feel like, does that make any
sense? My dad like hikes and farms because that's what he did when he was 25.
Exactly.
He hiked and farmed. Yeah. That's what they like to do. I will say a couple things. Frankie, if you're knitting, we've officially lost you. Like that's it.
That's
that's like, I feel like they give you knitting to like keep crazy people from like clawing your eyes out or something. So I feel like if you're knitting, that's a problem. Do you guys ever notice how differently you talk to old people versus like if you
talk like a baby?
Yeah, because I live in a condo building. It's got a mix. It's like some younger families and like some older, a lot of like older kind of retired folks were in Scottsdale. And my point in the way I'm changing my perception of older folks is like, instead of walking by and being like, hello, Mr. and Mrs., nice to see you guys. And then you walk by a 40-year-old guy that has like a fucking Nike shirt on. I'm like, what's up, man? Like, it's totally different. It's like, why like that guy wants to be taught. So now I'm trying to level it off where it's about like, instead of being like, yeah, just hi.
Well, they're more polite. They come from a more polite generation. They come
but they probably
come from a more
that.
proper
like, why don't
generation.
You talk to me like I'm one of the boys.
No, I think they think that I think they think we're hoodlums and
sup toots.
Yeah, that's what Smitty would say to him.
No, I know what you mean, but I
think when we're older, we're gonna say what's up, man.
I honestly think that you even saying hello to them, they're like, this is great. And that sounds weird, but I do think as people get older, they get far more isolated from everything.
Their family's dead. Everything and it's just
I would say overall, we got to be way nicer to old people because
100%.
they're just
sticking them in these
isolated.
rooms.
I agree.
Society's blowing by them like a bullet train with the phones,
crazy.
and
Kind of
social
forcing them
media
out.
Crazy.
and the
Forcing them out.
technology. Like I know for a fact, and my parents are getting older. Like my mom's 67, my dad's gonna be
She's a
72.
spring chicken.
So they're spring, but even I know calling them and talking to them for 30 minutes is the best thing in the world. And I end up feeling great, and I know that they love it. They want to know that I'm doing all right and things are going fine. Like that, everybody's overall just gotta be way nicer and way more communicative to old people.
Their interactions from when they were 40 have gone down like 95%. They're not working anymore. They're just sitting there watching programs on TV and golfing, and then maybe they go to the clubhouse. There's just they're not hearing people screaming in the house anymore. And it's like times, like it's just fucking, it's 90% dropped.
But it's also like they got so much free time. Like they're so, it's like you're fucking.
Some people don't want the free time though.
No.
You know what I mean? Like my dad would never
agree.
be able to
I
sit
agree.
down, just like retire and just watch like an ocean. He just would be like going crazy. Like I need a fucking.
I'll say the biggest couple big things from my mom. My mom listens to every show, and she's like the getting into the market has been huge. Like my parents probably 10, 12 years ago went from like paying like a stockbroker or whatever to like whatever funds that they had to like once you could do it yourself.
Mhm.
My mom was like, what if I just like take over? Because this person's not doing that great. Like, fuck it. And so now from the minute the bell, if the market opens, the bell till like it closes, she is locked in. She's got like the financial
Davey
channels
Day
on.
trader.
She's got her fucking iPad. She's literally
Get her on a
Davey
live
Day,
stream,
like,
dude.
She loves it. So,
Ringing a
so
bell.
that's it, dude. She drinks her Pepsi, she rips her darts, and she just watches the market.
I love
I think
that.
that's given her
That's
like
fantastic.
life. Like, she loves it. Yeah, it's
Well,
great.
That's
So it's-
that's the beauty of golf, really. If you're a golfer, my dad, my mom, they golf a couple times a week still. They go out all the time. So it's just, that's something to do. It's hours out there. They go with their friends who are also down wintering in Arizona. That's like the social part of their lives. So it's an important piece.
Yep. Yeah, totally. You got to have
Everybody-
that stuff.
Just be nicer to old people. All right.
It's crazy
That was
what we
kinda
do to old
my-
people. It's crazy.
It's a
That was
daunting,
sort of my
it's very
general-
daunting, dude. It's a daunting thing. Getting older is daunting.
It's
gotta be.
crazy that we just stick them in these rooms and we're just like, you got to just go there and just die essentially. But then like in each,
Jesus.
do.
I don't think it's that.
well,
You know,
it
I
is.
think
It's
we're
like
not-
at some
we're-
point you got to make the decision where you're like, we can't take care of grandma anymore. It's like, it's taxing on the younger, like the children's lives, right? Where it's
true.
like, you just gotta, like, I got grandma like debilitating in the back room right now. Like we got to get her somewhere. You got to get her help. You got to get her like a nursing home. And then like those nursing homes are so fucking depressing. It's just all these old people
Yeah.
sitting in rooms, just kind of like fucking passing the time, and they don't know what's going on. But like, that's just the way life is, man. You just break down. But you can't blame anyone, I guess, because like what? It's you're gonna live your whole life taking care of everyone the whole entire life. It's
You
impossible.
got to think at some point we're going to upload, or should be able to upload the consciousness onto a younger like vehicle, right?
You
And then
gotta
just-
figure
you gotta
something
think
out.
that's coming. You got to think eventually that's coming.
The brain
'Cause you
stuff
can't-
is sad. That's where it starts to be like where like you don't remember what's going on anymore. The Alzheimer's. That's where it starts to get real rough. Where you just
It's
like,
all life's.
fuck.
That's kind of the beauty of life. It's sad. It's like you're mortal, right? That's what makes it. You
Yeah.
cherish the good moments because you're mortal. It's not forever. That's the beauty of this whole fucking thing. So it makes it more special.
Well, in the interim, call your folks, call your grandparents,
Yeah.
go
Mhm.
see them, stop by. If they live near you, go by there, say hello. It'll mean the world to them.
I gotta say, my parents moved to Colorado a couple years ago, and like visiting them in their Colorado house is about as fun and wholesome as it gets without doing anything special. Like we just hang around the house. We go to a couple restaurants in Boulder. We have like beer. They put a pool table up in their top room. We like have a beer with my dad, walks around the yard and shows me like the new trees that he planted. And you know me, I'm like a city slicker. I don't know anything about fucking trees, but he loves like the trees, sends us pictures. They seem beautiful and they just kind of are hanging. And it's a fucking great time. My brother comes with his wife and their two young kids. My sister's around and things are running around. It's like this beautiful chaos. And you learn to bring full circle like the evolution when you're in like your young 20s, like you're saying, Trent's like rip at the bars and you're trying to meet girls. You realize like the actual wholesomeness and happiness is more so in that like chaos at like for us, like my parents' Colorado house when everybody's together and you're hanging and people are adults and you're ushering in the new generation. It's like your outlook on everything changes dramatically.
Yeah, I mean, you
Absolutely.
get sappy about it. I can start making people cry and shit, but like you're in the midst of the time that in 20, 30 years, you're going to look back and be like, man, wish they were still around. Wish like my family was still here. Like you're just in that time right now. You know what I mean? Like for me, like I think about that. I thought about that with hockey. I mean, with the Islander game, I'm like, I'm just like in the moment now watching it with my dad, my family, my mom's there. Everyone, we're all here right now. Everything's here right now. You know what I mean?
Right.
That doesn't happen forever. I might be gone tomorrow. You don't know what's going to happen. No one knows anything about tomorrow. So it's like you got to make each day count. And yeah, like you said, Trent, you got to really just take each day with calling them and making sure that everything's like that's what living is. That's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah. And your 30s, depending on, birth dates and when people are born, your 30s, moving into those is kind of like a transitional period for everybody where you're like, parents are getting older, grandparents maybe aren't around anymore. Like that's just what it is.
Life's
scary. You just gotta
It's just been that way for tens of thousands of years,
forever,
for billions of
dude.
people. That's just what
I always
it
think
is.
like George Washington's dead.
He is.
Just like
Yeah,
he
was
be as
amazing.
big of a figure as that, and you've been dead for hundreds of years.
George Washington's one too, who he was really big when he was alive. Like
Right.
he was big. Everybody knew he
still-
was big. He was the guy.
Julius Caesar dead. Like it doesn't matter. You know,
He
what
was
I
the
mean?
guy.
It's just you're just dead though.
He got they would argue he got a little bit too big and they took him out.
Yeah, they
but,
did.
But I know what
watched
you
that.
mean.
They
Ides of
all
March.
did argue that. They argued that a lot, and then they just fucking Brutus stabbed him.
Doesn't
in the
matter how
back.
big you get.
Scumbag.
So I'm going to Italy in September. I'm going to watch the shit out of that Rome documentary again. I kind of skimmed through it, the Rome, the ancient Rome.
You gotta pay attention. You gotta pay attention.
I did. I tried to pay attention. It's a lot sometimes, but there's some boobs in it, which are great. There's some boobs in there for sure, which definitely that keeps your attention coming. Where you're like, that's a pretty
emperors-
woman, and if she's gonna get naked at some point, I'm gonna keep watching this episode. And at the end, she
They
just kind of
fucked.
does,
Yeah,
and you're like,
yeah,
that was
they did.
fucking awesome.
No, all right.
I'm just saying. Well, that's just it's part of
all
watching
right,
the
connect
show.
yourself connect yourself to the boobs, but also connect yourself to and we talked about this on the show in the past, where the politics that are going on right now in our world, in our country, it's the same shit that was going on then. It wasn't that they woke up, they ate porridge and they were like, oh, things are great, the sun's shining, we're the Roman Empire, this is amazing. It's the same thing had to build that as well, and it's infinitely interesting.
You have to remind yourself too when you watch it that they didn't know that they were ancient. They
Right.
thought they were.
That's
current.
amazing.
That's true.
They genuinely believed they were as current as you could possibly be.
Right. And they were
Like
close.
they thought robes were it. They didn't think robes were what ancient people wore. They were like, "This is what people
They were like,
were
why
wearing.
else? Why would we wear anything else but
This
robes?
is it,
Going
dude.
forward,
This
people
is-
are going robes.
This is fucking it, dude. We got robes and like.
How did we fall upon like chinos then? I mean, like how did we evolve from robes?
If there were three guys who like to talk golf 100 years ago, and they would just sit in a room and talk, they were not wearing hoodies. They were just like, this seersucker suit that I'm wearing, this is the one that people are going to be wearing forever.
I'm printing out
Might have been
pictures
wearing-
for the new Borellis in
Never mind.
Long Beach, and I'm doing like this whole family wall, and I found this picture of my dad who looks like Mr. Bean when he was younger. It's unbelievable. He looks just like, you know who Mr. Bean is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How do you not then look like Mr. Bean?
Dude, look how much dad looked like Mr. Bean in this photo.
What?
Look at this old ass. So this is my this is my dad's whole family. My pop who started Borelli's. Look how nice they were dressed, man, in Italy. Look at that. Like that's just we're wearing hoodies and fucking golf hats. That's the fucking real deal, man. They're dressed like to impress.
He's got
That's
the top hat
so
on.
good.
It's
That
the
is
way,
so
by the way,
good.
it's the way your dad is looking that he looks like Mr. Bean. 'Cause
I
Mr.
know.
Bean does that exact
Yeah.
thing.
I know. I was like, oh, what?
Yeah. No, that's class. That's
Class,
they look
man.
great, man.
Now, Trent, I don't want to get all parental on you, but it's time we had that talk.
What are you
Okay?
talking about?
You know that talk I'm talking about, that 3-letter word, ends in X. You'll
What are we
probably
doing
experience it a few times in your career, your life.
What are we talking about?
You know that 3-letter word that ends in X?
I think
I'm
I know.
I'm talking about tux.
Yep, that's
All
what I thought
right.
you were talking about.
When you need a tux, the best place to go is the Black Tux. The Black Tux makes it super easy to get an on-trend, top quality, guaranteed to fit tux without ever leaving your house. Here's how it works. You take the Black Tux Fit Quiz, pick the style you want to rock, and boom, your tux is delivered to your door 10 days before the day you need it. That's plenty of time to try it on, make sure it wears well, and hey, if it's not quite the right fit, you say hello to the Black Tux Fit Guarantee. Order a better size within a day or two of receiving the less than great fitting one, and then they'll send you one right away that fits perfectly at no extra cost. And if you'd prefer an in-store experience, the Black Tux has showcase rooms across the entire country. Their expert fit specialists will help you find the perfect style tux or suit and make sure your fit is just right. I'm using the Black Tux actually for my wedding, which is an amazing thing that I'm doing. I'm using the Black Tux. All the guys in my groomsmen party are using the Black Tux. We've got a place here in Nordstrom. You go into Nordstrom right there. They have a Black Tux showroom in there, so you can go get fit, make sure everything's on trend is how they like to call it, Trent Daddy. I went to a mom and pop shop, and the guy told me that I didn't know a trend if it hit me in the face. He basically told me. He said that what I'm asking for is European and it's not American and it's just weird. And he basically made me look like I was wearing a parachute on my legs. So do not go with that. Go with the Black Tux. I'm telling you right now, it's a nightmare not going to the Black Tux. It sends it right to your house. So rent or buy, the Black Tux is the best place to go when you need a tuxedo for a wedding or special night. And right now, when you go to theblacktux.com/4 and use code 4, you will save $20 off your entire order. That's theblacktux.com/4, F-O-R-E, and use code 4 to save $20. Theblacktux.com/4, code 4. Make sure you go check it out right now.
We gotta get these boys on. So our guys, I don't know. I mean, we kind of touched on this, but Alex Busch and Brendan Jones, who everybody knows who they are. They've been in California so far this week. They played LACC Monday, and they played Pebble Beach on Tuesday. They're out there for the USGA media kind of week. And we've been all over the country. We had Islander streams, we had Barstool Classics, and these guys are experts now at capturing content, obviously flying drones, videography, the whole deal. We had a couple spots, so these guys went, they got to play the courses. So I want to hear a little bit from Alex Busch. Is Bushman, is Jonesy with you?
Oh no, but he's like, I put him he's like in the room waiting if you want to bring him in.
Do you want to do this now, or you want to do this when they can like be on the screen and shit? I mean, unless they have.
We have cameras on our computer.
Do not have cameras?
All right, let's do it.
Well, I was thinking while it's fresh.
Yeah.
Let me get him.
Bring
in
Jonesy in here.
As if that was Ron Burgundy being like, I really didn't come prepared.
Oh, you guys want to talk to me?
Yeah, we do want to talk to you. What is your guys' last couple days been like? This has been quite a trip.
Incredible, dude. Big shout out to you guys. Obviously, you had the opportunity to go, but schedules didn't really work out for all of us. So you sent Alex and I, and it was truly like the best trip ever. It was unbelievable.
So describe it from beginning to end. Where you guys started? They flew you out to. You guys started in LA.
Yeah. So we flew from New York to LA, LACC, the men's U.S. Open venue, and I was actually pretty shocked at the response on Twitter when I just like floated out 4 pictures of the place. It was like, I didn't know it was like this secretive. Like people are just like really, really like surprised to see it. And I guess they haven't been there in like 75 years or so, or even in like Southern California in like 75 years. So people were just like, whoa, this place looks awesome. I'm like, I just played. It was sick.
You hear all these, you see all these pictures like online about how like it's in the middle of LA, like legit, you can see like the big buildings and the surrounding skyline, and that's like, you've never seen that in Los Angeles. Like that's something that you didn't think was realistic. I don't even know geographically where it is. Like I can't even.
It's like Beverly Hills.
Yeah, I mean that's when you start talking like you're not allowed to even look at it. A regular person doesn't even know where that place is. As
a guy, I feel like I'm pretty plugged into courses. It's how I spend a lot of my free time. You follow enough Twitter, golf Twitter, Instagram Twitter, or golf Instagram that you're just going to see courses like links gyms. I feel like I have never seen a single hole or could not describe a single hole from LACC.
Yeah, that was like the reaction that I kind of garnered too. I was like, okay, so this is like real special. Like people like have no idea what this place looks like, and dude, it's fucking sick. Like mint.
Unreal. It's hard. I heard you guys saying it's really hard.
It's tough. There's a bunch of elevation too, which makes it pretty tough. But the par 3s are pretty long too. There's one that's it's crazy. They said they might have the longest and the shortest par 3 in U.S. Open on the same course. So yeah, they said like one's gonna play like mid 70s, and then one's gonna play like over 300 yards. Yeah, maybe in the 60s, and then there's one that plays like over 300 yards.
Yeah, there's par 3. It's gonna be 60 yards.
Yeah. I don't remember the exact number. I think he said in the 60s, maybe 70s, but they said it's going to be the shortest par 3.
Are you
like in
wait,
US
hold
Open
on?
history.
Are you guys doing the thing where you're giving us the yardage on a par 3 and you're not giving us the 1, or are you saying that there's going to be a 60 to 70 yard par 3?
There's going to be a short ass par 3 that's literally a flip wedge in.
Hold on. I don't. You guys, you're either losing all credibility right now, or you just said the most interesting thing I think I've ever heard in my life.
So when you played the shortest par 3, what was the literal yardage?
I think that it was all based on the day. So like, I think on one of the days, like the back tee for the long one, and like on a back flag, is going to play over 300 yards. It's going to be like 30 something.
Okay.
And then I don't know which I'm bad with holes, but I don't know which hole it was. But they were like, this hole one day is going to play like 75 yards. And I'm like, yeah, that's fucking insane.
That's amazing. Well, I know the 7th hole at Pebble Beach, which you guys also played, can play like sometimes the US Open, they play it under 100 yards, but it's like 95 yards, something like that. So if it's the shortest hole in the US Open, it would have to be less than that. So yeah, it would have to be 75 yards.
You guys walked into the locker room. You saw names like Jason Bateman. I saw Larry Fitz was at Pebble. I mean, were you guys just like walking amongst just crazy LA stars at this LACC media day?
I saw a couple actors. I didn't say anything to him. I didn't see Jason Bateman.
Damn, we were literally took a picture of his locker. I'm like, that's a cool one.
Yeah, that was really. I would have been really cool. I would have definitely said what up to him. But I didn't see him. Dude, we were supposed to play with Josh Richards.
Oh shit!
No way!
Oh wow!
Yeah. So we were supposed to play with Josh Richards, and then like things got shuffled around, and then like Josh wound up driving to like a different tee. We were all, like me and Alex started on 13, and he like drove to like I don't know. I think he drove to 14. And then our caddies were like, "Should we go get him?" And I'm like, "All right, do whatever the hell you want. He probably knows somebody in that group, so he's just gonna play with them." And they went over to him, and Josh was like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna like stay here." So Alex and I literally just played.
It was insane.
Wow,
that's great.
As a twosome was unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
that's fucking great.
How'd you guys play? Obviously, you haven't had a chance to play that much golf this year. You guys have been so fucking busy editing everything, watching us fucking smack the ball around like idiots. I mean, were you guys nervous stepping up to the tee at LACC first round in a long time?
Jonesy, where'd your tee shot go on the first hole?
Oh man,
so I texted Danny, before the round, and I was like, "What are we looking like OB and like losing ball situation at LACC? Like, how many do I got to bring? Like, I haven't played." He's like, "There's virtually like no OB." I'm like, "All right, like that doesn't mean what you mean, but sure." and I get up there and I just like, look, it's a huge fairway, and I get up there, just flare one right, like big old slice, lost ball. Didn't hit the range because we were like flying the drone. I just wanted to like get some drone footage. It was like the only down period. I was like, all right, go to the range after all this bullshit. And I was like, I'm just gonna go fly the drone. Like, I'm not getting any better on the range. Like, whatever. So me and Alex like flew the drone for a little while. 2 off the first tee, lost both on 13, no problem.
Well, so you and I, Jonesy, we had played the last couple times you and I played. We played Trump Ferry Point, a place where you got to keep it on the map, otherwise you're dead. Mm-hmm. And your game is you got a good swing, you got a ton of speed. So when you hit the ball, it goes a mile. Sometimes it doesn't go where you want it to go, but if you're playing a course that's a little bit open, you can play really well. But if it's a place where you can only land it in the fairway, and if you don't, you're in jail, you're in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, there was room out there too, and I was missing, which was fun. Like, it was like, I appreciate that, but I was missing. Like,
how did that nerd Alex do on the first hole?
Alex played well. Alex inside of like 100, I like a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, wow. Driver and long irons had issues, but the wedges were dialed. A lot of pars and a lot of doubles, so a little bit of both.
That's fine. Yeah. So, all right. So then you guys jumped on JSX. Did I see you got to fly my favorite airline?
Bro, I would do that 1,000,000 times if I could.
So it's like a private plane, but it's publicly seated. You just go online, get a seat, but it's a little mini plane.
Yeah, rigs would know more, but if I like researched the hell of it on the plane, and there's only like a certain amount of like, places it flies out of versus like, obviously being like a public airline, and it only goes to a certain, few
those little hops and jumps, right? Like Arizona to
like
San
10.
Diego.
We only do like 10 spots. Yeah.
Vegas. LA.
Dude, it's considered like a semi-private because it is really nice. Like each seat is essentially like a first class seat. I don't know how many are on there, probably like 25 maybe, 25 or 30. But that flight felt like 20 minutes from LA to San Francisco or
you
Monterey.
Still going through security and everything or no?
Dude, they have
ours
ours.
was privately booked too. Like ours was just like our group. So it was we just walked in and kind of waited for them to get ready and left.
Unbelievable.
So this is the one I told you guys about. Like when the reason they have their own private terminal, and then the reason they don't really even do security is because they have all the facial recognition technology. And the pilot told us this. And so when you walk in, they know everything about you the second you walk into the door. So if you're like a high risk person or whatever, they'll do security and a little more security. And they do have a metal detector. You guys walk through like a metal detector, right?
Yeah.
So they have like a metal detector and stuff. Yeah, so it's super simple. But this is like when we went from Scottsdale to Vegas last year, and we had a JSX pilot sitting in front of us, and he was telling us whatever we wanted to know. And I was like, how about the security? Like, this seems we're landing in Vegas right next to all these buildings. Like, if you were really a terrorist, so you got through this easy, you could just fly one of these planes through these fucking buildings. Like, what's going on here? He's like, dude, they have this facial recognition technology that they use at the main airports, but they can't fully rely on it at the main airports because there's so many people, whereas there's so few people at the GSX terminal that this puppy knows you inside and out the second you walk into the door. I was like, that's amazing.
Wow.
It's so convenient. I wish there was more. They DM, I like tagged them on Instagram, and I guess like they DM me like back and were like, oh, thanks for flying. I was like, I just DM'd them back. I was like, I would do this for every flight if I could.
Yeah,
I love you guys.
So now you're at Pebble Beach. This is your first time ever going, right? You've never been on a trip with us to Pebble.
No.
Holy shit. So vibes were probably through the roof flying into Monterey. I mean, it's Pebble Beach.
I was so nervous too because I was obviously like checking the weather nonstop and it was like going to rain. And I was like, this motherfucker, dude. Like, no way it's going to rain on us like while we play Pebble.
I brought my dad. Couldn't see anything.
Dude, so we get out there and it's like obviously cloudy, overcast. And as soon as we're about to tee off, like the sun starts to peek out. And right after we tee off, we had like the best day ever, man. It was obviously crazy windy. And we started on 8. And
I noticed that.
Obviously,
so we
started
on
8.
7.
So we finished on 7, which was sick.
Yeah.
8's a really cool hole too. I mean, they're all really cool. I even like the holes that like aren't on the water, but 8's really cool. And like it was straight downwind. And I think I went 6 iron, and I like flew the back of the green on 8 again.
Jesus.
It was like,
so you had an interesting first look at it because like sometimes like that when you play those first 4 holes, you're inland, right? You get a couple peaks on like 3 for sure when you're on the tee box, and you can see as you go down the 3rd fairway, you see it behind 17, and then as you make that left on 4, you start to see like what's about to come, 5, 6, 7, 8, the whole deal. And so like that is like, holy shit, we just played an hour before. Now we're like in the mix and we're looking at the greatest holes. You guys just started on the greatest holes in golf.
Yeah.
So you were just fucking just put right on. If you were to look on Google Maps of like the greatest point to be dropped at in golf, I think you just got dropped on that spot. It's like the 8th tee box. You got 7 behind you and you're on the
7 green. You get to play, 10, 11, like, that's a great stretch. That's like,
it's the best stretch.
Dude,
it
was, it was so sick. It was like, the vibes were like through the roof. And then like, you obviously get not a break, but like you go inland. So you like kind of escape the wind a little bit. So you're like, all right, calm down a little. But then you obviously wrap up with, 6 and 7. It's just like, this is fucking awesome. 6 like visually is probably
6 in the dark was really sick.
Like not in the dark.
6 is like the most underrated hole in the world. I think nobody ever talks about 6 at Pebble. Like nobody ever talks about it. It's always 7. It's always 8. It's always incredible. 18. It's 6 is fucking awesome.
I just love the fact that you don't know where that second shot goes. And I've had such amazing memories now. We've played it a bunch of times. We've been lucky enough to do it where I've just fucking ripped like a 4 iron just over wherever the caddy says to hit it. And I've walked up there and I've had like a 25-foot eagle putt waiting for me. I've done that like 2 or 3 times where I've hit the green in 2. And you're just like, you can't believe you're playing that hole and you can't believe that things worked out where you're just like, you're doing the damn thing. You're doing it. You're up there. I always 3-putt it. I never get a skin in the Dabog Classic ever in a million years. Never got one on that hole. I always 3-putt it for a par. But fucking, how'd you guys play on those holes? How did you play on 6, 7, 8, 9, 10?
6, yanked to drive left pretty hard. So
That's
I had
not a bad
lay
spot.
up.
The players like to hit it over there.
Yeah, you could go like as far left as humanly possible on that hole, thank God.
Some people think that's the play. because it's flatter.
Like
in the past, they've talked
that's
about
true.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, you were way up there.
Yeah, I was way up there.
You had a line.
So I laid up, and then I tried to like put. I think I had like a 9-iron as my third shot, and I pushed it right, and like for some reason it just kept going right. Just kept going right, and I didn't. I thought the wind was like helping me coming off the right, and it just kept going right. Probably was wrong, and I fucking lost it, which was brutal. So I had to drop. Yeah, it was. Alex didn't play too bad.
7.
I parred 6. Yeah, I piped the drive. I hit a 3-wood and kind of on the right side and chipped it up in 2-putt.
When Alex hit his second shot, I thought it was lost.
No, it was just right side fairway.
Let's get some energy behind these pars, Alex. Let's get some energy behind these pars.
The 7th hole obviously is the most famous hole in golf. Probably the most famous par 3 in the world. I'm like 0 for 5 on it, hitting the green. And I saw you tagged me in a video that you just put up. I think it was this morning. Amazing shot by Brennan Jones on the 7th hole. It looked like you had a little wedge in your hand. What was it playing? Like 105 yards, maybe 95?
I think
it was like
we played it like
110
110.
we had wind against us. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like right in your face playing 110. So I usually hit my 50, like 115, I think, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know if I hit it. So I just pulled 50 and was like, if I'm long, I'm long. And because the number was only what, 90 something, Alex? Like 95?
97, 98.
Yeah. So it's like, if I'm long, I'm long, whatever. I like fly the green, I don't care. And dude, I fucking hit it good. The wind was like coming off the right. It kind of just like started right, but then like it just started like falling diagonally. It wasn't like bending or curving. It was kind of just like falling diagonally. And I was like, this is going to be really good. And that was like 12 feet. It was fucking
great shot.
Unbelievable.
Did you make it or miss it?
I just posted it now. I missed it. It was like,
Alex, did you hit the green?
No, I pulled it left in the rough, made bogey.
Made a 4?
Not very good. Yeah.
That's all right.
But it was
a hard hole.
It was literally an inch from that bunker on the left side.
So, I mean, overall, everything you guys expected. I mean, did it live up to expectations? Was it?
You know what was sick, and Brendan would agree, was 18. 18 was unreal, and we both piped drives down that fairway. It was pretty awesome. Yeah,
we both were like, let's just try to carry as much water as we can, because like, who gives a fuck? And we both did. We both like put it over the water, probably from the tee box to as soon as it crossed. It was like kind of like hoping and praying that it was going to get across, and then you see it bounce, and you're just like,
the best.
Well, like
he
left
cut
of the tree.
He cut the corner on the left side.
Yeah,
and I was like past the tree.
Jesus.
So mine
Those are
was
good
a little
shots.
safer. Yeah,
Those are bombs. I cranked one the last time I played, and I was behind the tree, like
I was like 15, 20 yards in front of the tree, and Brendan was probably 50 yards left of the tree.
There's nothing better than when you feel the wind coming off the water there, and you can just kind of throw it out over that bunker, and obviously over the water, and you're just like, I just hope nature takes this ball back. Like, I think it's gonna. I think if wind is correct, this is just gonna stay on land, and it just kind of sometimes does. It's fucking awesome.
And we both made par too. We both hit like
I made par, and I had to punch out from a tree there on the right side of the green. So
let's go.
Right.
Well done.
What a trip for the boys, man. What a fucking trip for the boys.
I'm pumped to see the footage. I'm pumped to see LACC. I don't know anything about it. I'm kind of going to wait till we put our stuff out before I really understand anything about the golf course or see it, just because it's cool to go in completely blind. So yeah, great work, boys.
So you guys filmed some stuff. We're going to put out what? You have stuff for a video?
So I have like a bunch of drone stuff that I think we're gonna just do like featured holes on each venue from LACC. I think we did 6 LACC. Is that the part 3? It's super cool.
11. Yeah, the downhill one. That's 11.
So it was like 11, 18. I flew like 3 or 4 holes at each, and we're gonna do like voiceovers and featured holes on each one when the US Opens come rolling around. But yeah, dude, it was really cool. Thanks again for letting us do that. Shout out to the fucking USGA, man. It's
unreal.
They're so cool. Like everybody who works there is like fucking
close personal friend.
Beth was just like hooking it up the whole time. If I had any questions, she was just like, whatever you need. Yeah, it was literally perfect.
Awesome.
That's great. Ambassadors of the brand going to the USGA Media Day. I love that. I got a situation developing where Kirk Minahan's been waiting for me for 17 minutes, and I can't imagine that he's going to take that particularly well. And I'm texting me, I'm going to be a few minutes late, and he's like, no problem. And he'd probably do a full hour on his show about how Riggs kept him late.
You're in a bad spot.
You can jump off if you want.
Spot. No, it's okay.
We can wrap it up. I mean, we've got fucking Jim Furyk. We've been on for an hour.
Jim Furyk coming. We got Jim Furyk coming. We hyped him up a lot because he's got a fucking amazing career. So, boys, good work. Safe flight back. You got to fly all the way across the country now, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. San Francisco to New York. Let's get it.
Mm-hmm.
Not JSX.
We'll see you in Myrtle Beach.
Yeah.
All right, boys. Let's throw it to we'll throw it to Jim Furyk. Hit it hard.
Hit it hard. Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, the golf capital of the world, and was recently voted America's favorite buddies trip destination. If you are looking for a good time, golf trip, where you're going to leave with memories that will last a lifetime, Myrtle Beach is that spot. We've been to Myrtle Beach a ton in the last 12 months, right? It's been 12 months. We made our first trip to Myrtle Beach, and it blew us away. We were so taken back about how good the golf was, how good the atmosphere was, the entertainment, the restaurants, just the lights, the Ferris wheel, everything about it felt very cool, very touristy, very like fun. You felt like you were in a moment at Myrtle Beach. It wasn't just a golf destination. It was everything.
Yeah, we went there for the travel series. We spent about a week there. Loved it so much. We had a Barstool Classic stop in Myrtle Beach at True Blue. You and I are actually going back down to Myrtle Beach this next week
on Monday
to film some videos and stuff. So yeah, we're Myrtle Beach guys. We love it down there, and it's because the golf is so great.
Myrtle Beach features more than 70 golf courses ranging from high-end top 100 golf courses to wide open and player-friendly courses, perfect for a laid-back round of golf, which is a huge selling point, honestly, because when you're going there on a bachelor party or a buddy's golf trip, you got to mix in the hard golf with the easy golf. That's how you get everyone involved in it. You're not going to want to scare your buddies and say, hey, we're playing a top 100 golf course. It's X amount of dollars. You're not going to want to play. So why don't you stay home and wait for us? Go play that wide open golf course. Everyone can have fun. That's the kind of place that Myrtle Beach is, where they have both things from ranging from the top to the bottom. Whatever your budget is, Myrtle Beach has something for you and your buddies. It's amazing. So if you want to plan a golf trip, visit Myrtle. I'm sorry. Here we go. Listen to this. If you want to plan a golf trip, visit www.playgolfmyrtlebeach.com. Do they still do WWWs?
Yeah, I don't think it's required, but you can if you're feeling traditional, if you're feeling old school, throw in the WWW.
I can't remember the last time I've typed in a WWW, but you can for playgolfmyrtlebeach.com. They'll have all the info on golf packages, courses, hotels, and things to do in one convenient place. And by the way, if you're the group leader who organizes your buddy's trip, you are eligible to play for free for that trip. So be sure to ask one of Play Golf Myrtle Beach package partners for more info when you plan your golf trip. Say, hey, I'm the group leader. What do I get? And sometimes they're going to throw in something for you there, which is an amazing little incentive to do that. So make sure right now you go to, we actually have our own little thing here. Not only is it Play Golf Myrtle Beach, you can go to foreplaymyrtlebeach.com to enter to win a 3-day, 3-round golf trip to Myrtle Beach. Holy smokes. So we're giving away a golf trip for you and 3 buddies right now, courtesy of Play Golf Myrtle Beach. Listen to this, www.foreplaymyrtlebeach.com. to enter to win right now a 3-day, 3-round golf trip to Myrtle Beach for you and 3 buddies. Holy smokes.
That's great.
Go to that website right now, foreplaymyrtlebeach.com, and do it.
Over 6 years, we've been doing this thing. This whole podcast, Foreplay, the show, YouTube videos, we've been going to tournaments. I don't know that we've ever really spent much time with Jim Furyk. Big day. You just announced it came out. Captain of the 2024 United States President's Cup team, Montreal. It's going to be obviously a fantastic event, but welcome to the show. How's life with Jim Furyk right now? How's kind of, I guess, give me the process of you actually finding out, because I know there's a lot of courting, there's a lot of coming up throughout the years, and you're kind of in with the crew. Does somebody come and knock on your door? Do you get like an email? Does somebody call you? How do you find out you're the captain?
Actually, I with the Ryder Cup, I got a call from the president of the PGA of America. So when you get that, you kind of realize something's up. Here it was a little different. I was talking to basically I got the call from Zach Johnson and Davis Love, so they kind of tag teamed on this call, and I guess in the last couple of years it's been kind of customary. So the last captain, Davis Love, was the one to give me the news, and then got a follow-up call a couple of days later from Commissioner Monahan. So I don't know. I guess when Davis told me, I was extremely excited, but also was, getting that call from a player is a little different. And I guess it felt more official when Commissioner confirmed it and said you're the captain. But very cool to have two friends, have Davis kind of give me the call and Zach be on there. It was very cool and excited. I mean, I can't tell you the emotion. I guess it's just a lot of fun and an honor, but to have two friends tell you was really cool. So it was a great way to learn.
Do you get a lot of I know when guys win nowadays, we hear about all the congratulatory texts and they got 300 texts to your phone. Do you get like 1 million text messages once it's announced that you're captain of the team?
Well, the announcement I've known for a few weeks, but with the announcement being made this morning, I'm here at PGA Tour HQ, and I went to lunch and peeked at my phone, and there's going to be a long string of texts to answer this afternoon or this evening. So a lot of fun. When you win, and they just kind of keep buzzing in, and you hear from some. It's really a cool thing. I mean, you're already excited after a win or this announcement, and watch so many friends reach out is really cool.
Awesome. I mean, I can't even imagine how cool it is. So now what's we hear a lot, especially over the last, 10, 15 years for me, feels like the team events, the President's Cup, Ryder Cup have gotten so much hype. And we hear a lot about how really it's just a full-time job. So for you going in, you've got a little over a year and a half now. What's how comprehensive of an effort is this, and how intertwined is it with the 3 or 4 months we've got now with the Ryder Cup hasn't even happened yet.
Right. I think for me, like trying to get in front of the players and talk to them, I'm gonna let the Ryder Cup obviously pass through. There, Zach Johnson's got his plate full right now and working towards Ryder Cup, and but for me, I think it's just an organization type thing. You're trying to get ready and prepare. The week of the event goes by so fast. It's a flash. So kind of the lead up is really just preparing for anything that could happen. Get your ducks in a row, organized. This is a little different working with the PGA Tour, and the PGA Tour kind of having both sides of it, right? Both the international team and the American team. So a little different scenario than the Ryder Cup, but no complaints. I love the job. I love the opportunity. And as we get closer and a team starts to round out, captain's picks will be made. That's kind of when it becomes very real, and it also time starts to fly by really quickly.
I've got a question. I hope this isn't answered because I jumped in a little bit late here. What did you learn from Paris in 2018?
I'm going to take a lot of lessons out of it. I think our teams for the last 8 years or so, we're trying to provide a lot of symmetry as captains, so that the players that make those teams each and every year it's the same playbook, kind of the same process going through. I mean, every captain's going to do it a little differently, but we're trying to provide a lot of symmetry for the players. I think there's a lot of things that we've done well as a team, and that I thought went well in Paris for me, and then there's some things that I would definitely change. And one of the questions I get all the time, or what used to get all the time, was, would you do anything differently? And I chuckled at the question, because you'd have to be a pretty arrogant son of a gun to say, no, we went over there and we didn't win, and I would do everything the exact same. Like, of course I'd do things differently. We didn't get the result we wanted, and I in hindsight, it's 2020, I would have changed quite a few things. But it's a process, and as a player, early in my career, I didn't really think about becoming a captain, and then you start to play on a number of those teams, and for a number of different captains, and you see the way they do things differently, and I started taking notes. Man, if I ever had the opportunity, I pulled little bits and pieces from every captain I played for, and then had a chance to be a vice captain or assistant captain in the events, and you start looking at things from a totally different perspective as a captain versus a player, and you just kind of wrap all that up into one. Definitely a lot of lessons to be learned, and I'm looking forward to 24 and being able to apply some of those.
It's always like a balance of how much the captain can really do, because at the end of the day, you set the lineup and the guys have to go play. Was it the picks that you wanted back?
I'm not necessarily sure I wanted the picks back. The options I had in 18 were dealing with kind of horses for courses or the guys that we're playing really well right now, and which avenue to go in. I think that picks are always difficult, and I think the hardest job for a captain, home captain's got to set up the golf course at the Ryder Cup. That's difficult. The next thing is really the captain's picks. I think are the most difficult decisions to make, and how to round out the team. I think some of the pairings, I think some of the guys that I played or didn't play, looking back in my mind, Webb Simpson was playing fantastic golf, and I put him out there for 3 matches instead of 4, or maybe 2 matches instead of 3 or 4, and I would have played Webb more. That's one thing. The golf course fit his game well. He was playing well. He should have been on the golf course more often.
Man, they did it right with that golf course that year. They just gave us that narrow ass golf course with trouble everywhere, and it just was out. I was out there. It was my first Ryder Cup I ever went to, and it was just I think a lot of people, especially who tune into just a few, they tune into the Masters, they tune into the Ryder Cup, don't necessarily know all of what goes on behind the scenes and how imperative it is that, like you just said, Jim, that the home team, the home squad kind of gets to set up the golf course. And you kind of, again, if you're kind of a casual viewer, you just think, it's a golf course, like go out there and play it. But I felt like that year, with kind of the qualities of our guys and the qualities of their guys, that they just nailed it that year with kind of the setup versus the characteristics of our guys.
Right. I thought it was really difficult for Strick going the Whistling Straits, because it's not your typical American U.S. golf course. Whistling Straits is a different animal in itself, and I think when I looked at that, and Strick was reaching out to the vice captains, and what do you think about setup? And my head was spinning thinking about trying to set up Whistling Straits. So I thought he did a great job. But trying to suit that golf course to your team is very, very difficult, because it's just a different animal.
So talk to me about Royal Montreal then. I mean, are you trying to get in with the super early? Are you trying to, you got any moles up in Canada in part of our operation? How are we kind of figuring out early on what's going on up there?
So a little different in the President's Cup. The home captain isn't setting up the golf course. It's more set up by the PGA Tour, but I'm sure both Mike and I will be in the tour's ear a little bit. Hey, what can we expect? What are we going to see with the fairways? How heavy is the rough going to be? You're setting this place up for a birdie fest, or are you trying to set up a more difficult golf course? The last time I was there in 2014, the golf course was set up with some pretty heavy rough. And Tim Clark won the golf tournament, one of the straightest hitters. I had a very good week, straight hitter. So, I look at like who played well that week. It wasn't your typical kind of President's Cup, birdie fest type of golf course, but I'll go back to 07, and I have some fond memories of 07 and playing, but I'll go back to maybe some tapes and see what the golf course looked like then. Ask the tour what I should expect and that'll come into play a little bit with captain's picks as well. I firmly believe in the horses for courses.
Truly vodka seltzer. There's vodka in this? Yeah, there's vodka in this. Are you kidding me? You got to try the Truly vodka seltzers. We've got them at the Barstool Classic. They've been the main sponsor, the headline sponsor, the presenting sponsor of the Barstool Classic for 5 years now. You go to a Barstool Classic, you're having Trulies. It was always the hard seltzer. Now it's a Truly vodka seltzer. It's real fruit juice. It's real vodka. They like to keep it real. They use no artificial flavors or sweeteners. They are made with premium vodka for that crisp, clean, refreshing taste. Also, they've got fewer calories. All 12-ounce cans have under 110 calories, which means plenty of refreshing flavor that will not weigh you down. Lower sugar. Every Truly vodka seltzer contains only 2 grams of sugar, and they are a refreshing go-to drink that is perfect for spring. We love them. I have them stocked to the gills in my house. Truly vodka seltzers. I got all the different types of flavors. So please make sure that you try it for yourself. This Truly vodka seltzer. Find Truly vodka seltzer right now near you at trulyhardseltzer.com. They'll have that little locator there to make sure that you can see which store has your Truly vodka seltzers in it near you. Make sure you go to trulyhardseltzer.com to find out now. Truly vodka seltzer, amazing product.
When the President's Cup happened last year, I'm actually at Quail Hollow right now, so Full circle. Okay. When the President's Cup happened last year, there was all this talk about the guys who weren't there. And there's a lot of talk with the Ryder Cup coming up about, are the live guys going to be allowed to play? Should it be a competition of just PGA Tour guys, or should it be the best players from each country? I know it's not in your hands and it's not your decision, but surely they prepped you for this question.
You know what? I actually even prepped myself for this question.
Yeah.
After the very first interview this morning, I said, let's go through this again. And exactly. So basically, it's run by the PGA Tour. It's a PGA Tour event. If you're not qualified to play in a PGA Tour event, you won't be qualified to play in the President's Cup. So it's come up a number of different times today, but that's kind of the answer I can give. It is out of my hands. The same's going to be true for both sides, whether it's an international team or the U.S. team. The same thing's going to be true.
I got to ask you, because I'm looking, you obviously were the captain of the U.S. Ryder Cup team in Paris. You're going to be the captain of the U.S. President's Cup team in Montreal. Do you just enjoy – what's that?
So you curious how my French is?
Are you just like a Francophile? I was
curious if you just enjoy going to war against people who speak French. I'm just curious.
Well, if you listen to my speech in 18, I mean, my speech in 18 really came from, I was visiting kind of the Bordeaux region with my wife. My kids were with me, and we hopped in this cab, and the cab driver looked at me and said, are you all Canadian? And I said, and I was like, you're in France, you're not sure how, being American is going to be taken. And I said, no, we're from the United States, we're American. He goes, oh my goodness. And then, have you visited here? Have you visited there? And I was like, no. He goes, oh, you would feel right at home, and you got to go. And this whole speech, and it kind of, we realize how great of allies that we've been throughout the years through different wars and that. And that was my speech. I was trying to disarm the international crowd, the European crowd, for how close the French and the Americans have been for many years. And so
they scratched our backs in the Revolutionary War, and we got them back in World War II.
So
great
there
fries.
You go. So it really
they do.
Yeah, I guess my captaincy is happening in the two largest French-speaking cities in the world, and I don't know a lick of French, so maybe I have to learn a little bit along the way.
I'll say, being in Paris in 2018, I was pleasantly surprised at how friendly I actually thought the French were, because the reputation is that they're kind of dickheads to everybody. But I actually learned, the very minimal amounts that you could go one or two exchanges of like showing that you're trying to speak a little bit of French, and then it would disarm them. I felt like they were actually incredibly nice. So I was pretty blown away about how friendly the French were, and the Canadians are known for being pretty nice.
So I can just drop words like that right in the middle. I can't do that from the side of the camera.
One day, we'll get you off. One day. We'll get you off camera.
Good story. Give my opening speech. I wanted to drop one French line in the speech. It was written with maybe 4 or 5, and I narrowed it down to I'm going to say one thing in French during the speech, just to show I'm trying. But I never really learned how to say it. So about an hour before I went out to do the speech, I grabbed one of the waiters in our team room, and I made him sit down with me and teach me how to say the line. And about 3 minutes into it, he just started laughing. He goes, God, you're terrible. This is awful. Because you're butchering the language. And I said, I'm trying my hardest. You got to teach me how to do it. And he basically said I was hopeless, but he eventually got me there. And I'm sure I butchered it, but I at least got a little applause for the effort.
The French is not a language that you can just pick up quickly. You can't just say French. You're going to sound very, very silly.
Doesn't make sense. Yeah. I took a lot of Spanish and nice.
So we got to talk to you about your golf swing. I was thinking about it a lot this morning, and my household, we're massive Jim Furyk fans for the last 25 years. Been
I appreciate
a giant
that.
Jim Furyk fan, always root for. I remember the Players handful of few years ago. I guess it was maybe Rory's year when you were right there, and I was pulling for you massively then. Your golf swing, I feel
like you're buttering me up now, and then you're going to drop a question on me right now. I feel like it's going to come 180 after this.
There's a lot of things I want to talk about with your golf swing, but I would say, with your golf swing, I think you honestly might have maybe the most recognizable golf swing in history. I think you and maybe Arnold Palmer, because I think obviously people are going to say Tiger or Jack, but I think if you put a silhouette of them out there without any other features, their swings are a little closer to conventional, and people wouldn't necessarily pick it up as much. I think your swing, I think Arnie with kind of the helicopter finish, maybe the two most recognizable golf swings in history, and yours over the last 20 years has been during the digital age. So people have seen it all the time. for you too, I feel like your swing has really, like, in perception wise, been helped a lot in the last 5 or 10 years with, if you look at the top 2 players in the world now, like John Rahm, obviously with his clubfoot history and the short swing is unconventional. Scotty Scheffler, number 2 in the world with the footwork unconventional. Matt Wolff 3 years ago when he kind of emerged on the scene, he was contending in majors, winning events. He's got all that. Do you feel like with your golf swing and kind of the chatter about it, do you feel like over the last 5, 10 years, however long it's been, has been kind of perception-wise helped with sort of the evolution of golf?
And I'll add one more thing. They were at the Vidanta Mexico Open, they were talking about how Tony Finau and Rahm both stand so close to it. And that's something that you were kind of the first guy. I mean, not the first guy, but you stood really, really close to the ball.
Yeah. I don't think I mean, you look at Chi-Chi, you look at Lee Trevino, you look at Miller Barber, you look at kind of the, in the 60s, 70s, 80s, there was a lot of pros that had a different look or a different type of golf swing. And then as, I guess, technology grew, as teaching grew, everyone looks a little bit more conventional. Just for me, it was a massive positive early in my career. When I came out in my rookie year in '94, my second event was in Tucson, where I went to college, and I held the 2 and a 3 round lead, tied for the lead after both days. And that's all anyone wanted to talk about. I went to media room. We didn't talk about I shot 6 under, how many birdies I made. It just was about my golf swing. And it became a way that I kind of identified myself at an early age on tour, probably before I even really had a good record or played well enough, but people knew who I was, and it really served me well. And it was a kind of a feather in my cap. And instead of fighting it, I just kind of embraced it, had fun with it. The David Faraday, what was it? Octopus falling out of a tree, trying to beat a snake in a phone booth, he had some great lines, and people were asking, doesn't that offend you? If you can't poke fun of yourself, it is goofy, it's different. It's funny though, it feels like my swing to me feels like, very mild, like just real. It feels conventional. It feels
Matt Wolff said that
straight through, and then I look at the video and I go, it doesn't really feel like that, but it
well,
Matt Wolff said that too. Like when he looks at video, he can't believe it.
Right.
Right. Yeah. And I would say too, I think people, because of that, it's great for the brand. Like you just said, if you lean into it, it's like you're known as the guy. That's what you're trying to stick out. You're trying to get the Q score up, especially now. If you were coming up now with the PIP money and everything, you kind of got screwed by that. You probably would have taken home all kinds of PIP money being, a little bit more well known for that. But I think people probably, because of that, like you just said, with kind of your first couple events when you're right in the mix, people sleep on your record. You got 17 PGA Tour wins. You're a major champion at the U.S. Open. You shot a 58, which is the lowest score in the history of the PGA Tour, and a 59. You are listed on the website as 3rd all time on the PGA Tour money list. You would, I believe, be 4th, but they took Phil Mickelson off the list on the official website, which is pretty funny to me. But I think like that record
might even be 5th off the DJ also.
That record is unbelievable. That is, again, I'm looking on the website. You are 3rd all time listed on the PGA Tour money list.
Jim, is that a Hall of Fame record that we just read off? We had a huge conversation the other day. Like, is there a standard for how many majors you have to win, or is a Jim Furyk career with the 1 in there, 17 wins, 3rd all time in PGA Tour money? That's a Hall of Fame season. That's a Hall of Fame career, if you ask me.
Hall of Fame, man.
Well, do you get a vote? I'm curious.
I don't get a vote
this year, and then didn't get over the hump.
They barely let us on the golf course, Jim. I don't think we're getting a vote for the Hall of Fame. But at the end of the day, I think that when you talk about criteria, I think it's just the eye test. Like it's just that guy at the end of his career was like a generational, really, really good player. Like in his generation, he fucking dominated. He had 17 wins on PGA Tour. That's all. That's many amazing wins on the PGA Tour.
I appreciate it. It's I hope that day comes, and it would be nice to. That would be a great call to get as well, right? And I wonder how that would work out. But I think there's some folks in the Hall of Fame that my record is very similar to, or maybe even a touch better. But it's not. All I can do is go play golf, and I hope someday that happens. It would be really cool. And Tom Weiskopf just got in this year, and unfortunately, the great news is he got in. The bad news is he passed away before he ever found out. So if I were to ever get in, I hope I'm not dead.
You too. I'm looking. I know
this guy shot a 58, dude. This guy shot 58. I went out. I played yesterday.
He shot 58 and 59. I think he's the only guy to go sub 60 twice.
I played golf yesterday. Really hard golf course. I played from the backs. I played really well. I shot an 80 ball in hole, and like I felt like I couldn't miss. I'm telling. I had 34 putts. I knew we were interviewing Jim Furyk today. I looked at his round. He had 24 fucking putts in one round of golf to shoot a 58. Dude, I couldn't miss putts yesterday. I couldn't miss. I was draining. I hit one off a worm. It turned left right into the hole. 55-foot putt. It hit the worm, popped up in the air, turned left, went right in the center of the hole for a 55-foot birdie putt. I'm looking around being like, I had 3 birdies, a lot of double bogeys, 3 birdies. And I'm like, how did Jim Furyk have 24 putts? I mean, you had 10 putts on the front 9. What does that even mean, though? Like, what did that day feel like? I'm sure you've talked about it a million times, but like, they always say like in baseball, the ball looks like a beach ball when the guys can't miss, or like, you know, the hole in golf looks like a pool you're putting into. Like, is that what it felt like? Like it just felt easier.
It's funny. I went into that round. I hadn't been playing well for about a month. I've been hitting a ton of golf balls, trying to get my swing kind of righted. And I was making cuts, but I was finishing like 50th, 60th. I wasn't playing very well. And honestly, it just all clicked in one day. My swing kind of came together. I hit a bunch of good shots. Both the 58 and 59, I shot 8 under on the first side.
My God.
But then at that point, when you're 8 under par, you have to start thinking there's a sub 60 watch in your head. And then it becomes a mental battle. And so like at the time, physically, I'm hitting it great. I hold an iron on the front side. I hold a wedge on 3, and then I almost hold an iron on 7, and almost hold an iron on 9, where they were just kick-ins. I mean, tap-ins. And I don't know. You just then it's honestly no different. People laugh when I say this. It's no different than trying to break 90 for the first time, or 80 for the first time, or 70 for the first time. And I remember where I was, how old I was when I broke 80 for the first time in a tournament, and how old I was when I broke 70 for the first time in a tournament. And it really is a mental battle, right? Because you're just trying to get it in. Like, if I could just make some pars, and as soon as you think that way, it totally goes down, right? Then stuff starts to crumble. So breaking 60 was the same way. It was really just trying to, I think it happened so late in my career. I was 43 and 46 just because I was more mentally ready for it at that point.
But how cool is that golf, like, you know, you broke 80 when you were 10 years old. You broke 70 when you were Justin Thomas is walking right by. I got to go. This is bad.
Hi, JT. It's okay, Dan. You could go. JT actually is somebody that I was thinking of when we talked about your swing, Jim, of like he's almost modernized your swing a little bit, where he comes out steep and then shallows it coming down. That kind of reminds me of a little like modernized version of that.
Off my toes like that and create that power. I sure would like to.
Jim, I don't know if you realize what just happened, but on the title of this podcast now, we're going to say foreplay episode with Justin Thomas, and then also a guest, Jim Furyk, because you just popped in there, right? We got to use.
I like that. I like
kidding. That's a joke.
It's the sidekick. I got it. I love it. I don't know if it's JT. Okay with it. How's that?
Yeah, right. I know a big part of your life now, a lot of your focus goes into the Constellation Furyk and Friends on PGA Tour Champions. You and your wife Tabitha have done a fantastic job with the Furyk and Friends Foundation. So talk to us a little bit about, you know, hosting the event and kind of how much effort, you know, you and your wife and your guys' whole organization, everybody puts into this.
Well, we were doing a lot of charitable work around our hometown for most of my career, but we started the foundation in 2010, and we had a celebrity golf tournament. JT's played in it. You know, brought some guys off the tour, some celebrities I've met along the way, and you know, we were able to raise about $500,000 every year. And as I got closer to 50, and basically the Corn Ferry Tour Championship moved to Indiana, moved out of Jacksonville area, we just kind of wondered, like, would it be possible to host a Champions Tour event here at home to raise, basically, it was a way that we thought we could raise more money for charity. And in doing so, I kind of felt bad for my wife, because I knew that I'd be on the road playing and I'd be out of town most of the time, and she was going to have to shoulder, you know, 95% of the work, which she does. And, you know, she hopped right in. I'm really proud of her. So when you say, how much time and effort does it really cost me? Not a whole heck of a lot, but Tabitha does. You know, she runs our foundation. She really sits over this golf tournament, and we have a nice staff of 5 employees. Tabitha's a volunteer, but it's a full-time job for her to put this event on. And last year, in our second year, we were able to raise $1.3 million.
Wow.
Our foundation works with like our local children's hospital. We work with a lot of different children's charities, families in need, and also a little bit of a military outreach as well. Jacksonville's a huge military town, and we play our event right next to NAS Jacks. So we've partnered up with them a little bit. So yeah, I appreciate you mentioning it. And if I could plug us just one time, just say something to plug us. Last year we were voted the players' favorite event on the Champions Tour. So that meant a lot to us. It was really cool to have my peers vote our event their favorite. And I'm not going to take any credit for it because I really don't do that much work.
That's amazing.
I love that. I know, over 71 million in career earnings, I believe. So it's always just impressive to me when folks that have had success like you have spend their time and effort and with their, if in this case it's with your wife to give back, raise money, help communities, help people, help children, everything. It's awesome. It's the best thing you can pretty much do. So I'm glad we got to mention it. Glad we got to plug it. And yeah, we really appreciate the time. I know you're a busy man. It's a big, I guess, year and a half coming up for you. So yeah, we'll be rooting for you. And this is a Jim Furyk to the Hall of Fame stand podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I love it. Y'all guys, or either one of you going to be in Montreal?
Oh, we'll be there. We love Canada.
Sounds good. I look forward to it.
I need a lot of fun.
We need some folks up there rooting for the U.S.
We'll be up there strong.
You'll see us. You'll see us up there. We'll be supporting. So we'll get you back on. We'll do some stuff with you before then. But good luck with everything. And yeah, we really appreciate the time, Jim.
All right. Would love to be back on. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.